the game. It's a rich thing.
Hey y'all, this is Tasha. I am back with another video. Thank you so much for stopping into my channel. Y'all know the drill. If you are new here, welcome so much. Hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment in the comment section. Make sure to hit the subscribe button on your way out. If you are not new, welcome back. Y'all already know how we cut up here for another episode of the Never Ever Mets, okay? Ignore my pimple patch. I know you see it. Just mind your business. We're not here for that. We here for their business that we just saw on our TV screens, okay? So we are season 1, episode 6 of the Never Ever Mets. The episode picks right back up where it left off with fingernail polish Aaron and Diamond's sister Irene getting into it after she done talk about his sister, brother, cousin, uncle, 3 kids as well, okay? Aaron is outside talking to his friend and says that her sister doesn't even know him, and he can take care of Diamond. So the fact that she's like telling Diamond that she can do better, he's like, you really have, I guess, you don't have a leg to stand on because you don't really know me like that. Irene says that she fights people for fun. Irene hairstyle looks like she fights people for fun. Okay, honey? But she says if he does that when he gets mad at her, what do you think he's going to do when he gets mad at you? So Irene says real men don't argue with women. I really dislike when women who are aggressive as well use that sentence and that stance because, girl, you was out there wilding out, okay? And while I do appreciate a man that can control his temper and not go there, they're still all human and they may not be able to take butts so much. As long as, you know, he ain't being physical with you and putting his hands on you, sometimes you're going to have a verbal sparring with a man because y'all are where y'all are. So Irene, girl, you talk about this man, mama, his pappy, and his children, and you think he going to be cool with that. Let's be real, ma'am. Let's be real. Millie is then going up to Diamond. Why, I don't know, in the midst of all this, saying, I want to meet your sister. Diamond is like, no, you don't. And she does a U-turn back to wherever she came from. We still see Aaron outside talking to his friend Ronald. He said, and Ronald's like, it ain't even 15 minutes. And I done walked into some mess. He asked Aaron if Irene is potentially jealous. And he said, yeah, look at her. Now, Aaron, you ain't the greatest looker either with this fingernail polish on your fingers. So I'm going to need you to glass houses, okay? Diamond comes outside and says that, you know, he tells her that he doesn't fight, but she says something about his family. So it is what it is. Diamond says that he called her a B and he said, well, she's acting like one. And she was like, well, if you call her one, you'll call me one. Now, Diamond, that ain't necessarily true. And you just went back and said that because of what your sister said, honey. Like, yes, you really can't put nothing past nobody, but also the situation between him and your sister of what escalated to that, y'all have not had that. And it's been years, if I'm remembering correctly, okay? So we see Irene is getting her things ready to leave. Diamond, for whatever reason, is trying to get her to stay. The producer is like, let me handle her. Diamond goes in the inside. She's talking to Millie, and then Aaron supports her as well. We didn't see Ronald, child, is now mingling with the rest of the house as if he is a friend of the show. I said, well, I guess you had to entertain yourself somehow because your friend and his girl. Okay. So Irene comes back and tells Diamond that she's always going to be there for her. Then we put Layla Ali back in the car and she is going back to wherever she came from. We see Aaron is talking to Diamond. He says his mind was really set on being nice to Irene, but all he could hear was Irene saying that Diamond could do better. In his confessional, he says he isn't sure which side Diamond is going to take, but of course really hopes that she sides with him. And that's what I figure, because I feel like when Aaron and his friend was walking up to the room, that Aaron was not elevated in no type of way. I mean, he was just kind of strolling along, but Irene was hollering so loud that the whole house could hear her talking about him. Like, if she would have piped down, we already know y'all are not the best of friends. Just pipe down and get through this little interaction that y'all have to have in this moment. But she wanted a scene, so she got one, okay? He says that he feels bad about how he reacted. He apologizes and tells Diamond that he is in love with her. Diamond says she's glad he's holding himself accountable and now they can move forward, but it doesn't excuse his behavior. And I'm hoping Diamond told her sister the same thing, man, because she is going to run off every man that you bring around her with that type of behavior. So we now see that Chris is being delulu and saying that the sexual tension between him and Sandia is at an all-time high and he really needs to do some things that he's been wanting to do with her. Sandia, this man gives you no attention unless he's trying to get in the bed with you. And how you don't see that, I don't know. But he likes the fact that you are quote-unquote submissive. And he just wants to use you for your body. Again, as I've said the previous week, I no longer feel sorry for Sandia. She gets what she gets because the writings are in the wall in a red marker. And she just acting like she is completely blind to it, okay? We finally then see Aaron and Jody talking. She's telling him about her past trauma. And I said, this is the closest we have seen them together one-on-one for all the past 5 episodes. Like, we never see them having time together, and this was the very first time. I guess, is that progress, y'all? You let me know, okay? So all the guys meet outside. Greg asks Chris if, he gets Millie, if they can talk, because y'all know Millie gave Chris the business the previous day. So Millie and Chris sit down. Chris asks, if what happened was necessary. And then kind of in the midst of our argument, you called me a B word. And she's like, yeah, I did. And what else is going on? But he says he doesn't really want them getting into calling names. Things get a little bit heated as Millie is replaying what he said. Like, you going down the line talking about, Greg, did you say this? Josh, did I say this? And then you get to me and you want me to talk, but also you want me to shut up at the same time because I'm not just going along to get along with whatever it is that you're saying. And that is facts, Chris. If you would have just left her out of it, she would have stayed quiet because she didn't have anything to say until you started going around polling the room, asking anybody if you was talking about Jody. You brought it on yourself, sir. So Millie is talking. In my opinion, she is not elevating her voice or getting angry. Kristen starts to play victim child. He is like a Karen if I have never seen a black man act like a Karen in my life, okay? He says she's starting to get elevated. Chris, no, you just think women should just shut up at all times. Millie continues to hold him accountable, and in typical fashion, he gets up and he walks away because, of course, he don't argue and disrespect and get into it with women. Remember that, okay? Millie tells him that he could never handle a woman like her. And the fact is he can't handle any woman that has their own voice. Again, he likes Sandia because she's quiet and she does not call him out on his BS. And that's really the only reason why he thinks this will work. Because in this year of 2024, how many women do you know will put up with the mess that Chris is saying? I don't know many. I know I would not. So we see Chris heads into the pool room. The other guys are there. He's telling them what happened while he continues to play victim. Greg is now holding Millie back because Millie has come into the pool area. They get to talking yet again. Chris starts calling her fake and ugly, all at the same time saying he don't argue with women. Aaron picks up Chris' little 5'5", probably 130-pound self and took him outside. And as Chris is being carried outside, he calls Millie a slut. And then starts talking about her bank account. Chris, and you are wondering why she called you a B? We should not be confused as to why she's calling you the name that she's calling you when we just saw the behavior that you have already exhibited. But this right here of you flying completely off the handle told me everything I need to know. Chris tells Greg that he tried to talk to her in a normal manner. Again, let's play up the victim card some more. And says that she called him a B and that is completely disrespectful. Greg says he isn't sure why Millie is continuing to be combative. And when he said that, I said, Lord, where are y'all getting these men from? Where are these men coming from? She was not being combative, Greg. She was holding Chris accountable. And you brought her into this mess. And I'm still unsure as to why you brought her to this table with Chris, to someone that you know is a narcissist and be saying crazy stuff out of his mouth. Why would you bring her to talk to him, but yet you don't stay at the table to support the woman that you are here for? Greg, because if you was there, you would have seen how all of this went down and there would be zero confusion as to what is happening. I wish my man would, child. So Sandia and Chris are talking. Chris says that he and Millie are officially enemies. We don't care, Chris. And I'm sure Millie does not care either. And then here it comes fingernail polish Aaron just eavesdropping, and he has to add in his 2 cents and says that Millie is just throwing around the B word, and you know, you just can't be doing that because that's dangerous. And typical Chris, child, because y'all know Chris thinks every woman wants him, and he says that when a woman doesn't like you that much and doesn't know you, it's because she thinks you look good. I can say he's not lacking self-esteem, but newsflash, Chris, you ain't even that cute. You are probably a 6 at best, and as soon as you open your mouth, you drop to a 3. Okay, like you could probably get a little bit more if you had maybe some muscles and you was taller. But as you are right now, Safari Jr., it ain't giving what you think it's giving for a real woman. Okay, all right. So Millie is in the kitchen with some of the other couples. Sandia walks in. She says that Millie is saying that Chris doesn't like for women to speak, and Diamond is like, well, he let me speak. Okay, Diamond girl, we not talking about you right now. Pipe down. Sandia says that Chris says that she let him speak, but that Millie kept yelling. Sandia says that he doesn't like to disrespect women, which is why he walked away. Sandia girl, I'm gonna need you to stop saying this, because you acted like he couldn't disrespect your sister the way Aaron disrespected Diamond's sister. You acting like he would not disrespect a woman, which is why he walked out. Are you just forgetting what happened on the very first day of y'all being there, of how he disrespected you, ma'am? How he continues to disrespect you when he rather play in Jody face than be in your face, ma'am? So I'm gonna need you to get off of this disrespect train that you on, because that's not what you do. You don't even show that. So stop acting like, oh, Chris just doesn't disrespect women, so he walks away. Jody, not even just, sorry. Sandia, you have seen for yourself, ma'am. Girl, you are exhausting. It continues to baffle me that she continues to cape for this man that really only wants her for sex. Like, you can't be that desperate to want a man. I get it. I was single. I was out here dating and looking, but at no time would I have been so desperate to accept a man like Chris. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. So now we see that tonight's Jody's best friend is coming. Aaron's dad is coming. And then we learned that Aaron has a son. Y'all, did we know that? Because my jaw fell open, because I said, wow, he has a whole son? Please let me know in the comment section if I completely missed that and they told us that previously. But I was like, when did this happen? How old is this baby? Because I need to know what has happened. So he and his dad are playing pool. And I don't know if it was just me, but I can see and feel that Aaron was being a different type of person than we've seen these other 5 episodes now that his dad is here. I feel like when his dad was here, he was playing pool. He was being a lot more masculine than we've ever seen him. And it looks like he basically switches up a little bit how he shows up to get the approval of his dad. That could just be me, child, but that's what I picked up on when I was watching this scene. We then see Jody friend Cam shows up, and I said, when I tell you, If this show didn't do nothing else, this show gave us some real, regular, ordinary looking people for reality TV. We probably have not seen people looking this regular on reality TV since probably season 1 of Real Housewives of Atlanta. But my goodness, that's all I got to say. She tells her friend about the first date and how it wasn't the best. Her friend starts asking about sex. I don't know why we keep centering around sex for everything. But Jody says it ain't happening because if she rushes into it, she will rush out of it. Okay, Jody girl. Aaron introduces his dad to the rest of the guys, and fingernail polish Aaron, just like his girl, tries to be messy and talks to Aaron and wants to talk to Aaron's dad about how Jody isn't for him. This ain't your place, Aaron, but okay. He tells him that he looks at Aaron as a son and he really wants his dad to pay close attention to Jody. And he wants him to see, let me see if you see what I see, Dad, basically. So fingernail polish Aaron is telling his dad that he just does not see a connection between Jody and Aaron, and how they just are kind of like never spending really any time together. And Daddy was kind of like, I don't really see the problem with them not being around each other. Like, I'm not sure why this is the issue. Daddy, y'all was just in the pool room talking about sex. How do you think any type of romantic connection happens if they're not actually spending time together, sir? Houseway. Okay. So I get what Aaron is definitely trying to do in this moment, because I feel like because he's so much older and he looks at earring Aaron as a son, that he would hope somebody would maybe do this for his son one day if needed. But as I said, sir, this is not your business. This is not your place. You have other things to concern yourself about than to be worried about Jody and Aaron when we know this ain't going nowhere. Okay. So Jody meets Aaron's dad. They all sit together with her friend. Aaron's dad asks about her confidence level of things working out. And she says, as long as it's like not any outside influences, I feel the confidence is real high. But if outside people start coming in, then that could lower. Girl, what kind of answer is that? Are you confident? Y'all, just be straight up. And all your answers and things that you talk about just beat around the bush, which is why we all think y'all ain't a real couple and y'all really don't want to be together. Because what kind of answer? On a scale of 1 to 10, where's the confidence at? Simple. It is simple as that, Jody. Girl, oh my gosh. But child, before Aaron daddy leaves, he said he's heard that Jody likes the salsa dance. So he pushes the table out the way and these two get the salsa dancing. And when I tell you it was more of a love connection between Aaron's daddy and Jody than Aaron and Jody, maybe y'all should hook up, give it a shot, see what happens. I don't know, child, but that was the happiest we have seen her this whole episode, okay? So it's the next day, and Chris, Greg, and fingernail polish Aaron are outside in the jacuzzi. Aaron is telling the guys that Diamond is perfect for him. He was like, may not be for everybody else, but she is perfect for me, and there is nothing about her that I do not like. And of course, Chris is in the pool, and he just cannot even fathom how this is even possible that you could love or like somebody that much. And he lets them know that he's going to propose to Diamond before they leave the show. So we then see some of the guys are cooking while Millie and Greg are talking, and she says she really doesn't want to punish him for something that another person did, since we know she has been violated before. She was basically saying how she essentially blamed herself for a little while, as, you know, why was I there? Why was I doing this? Why was I doing that? So now she feels like she really has to just defend herself when she doesn't feel safe. Or her masculine energy then jumps in, and that's essentially what happened with her and Chris's conversation. She says she really wants to be feminine, but she can't. And I felt so bad for her in this moment, because I don't know what it feels like to be violated. But Millie, I really pray that you are able to let that go. Greg says that he will be there for her, and she's like, I don't need no man. I don't need a man for nothing. Millie, yes, you do. I hate when women have that type of thinking, and I don't want women to have that type of thinking, because I really don't think we are meant to be on this earth to live alone. Not saying that you need a man in terms as to surviving, but it definitely adds a benefit to your life. It adds years to your life if you are able to be in a healthy, happy relationship. Like, Millie girl, you're gonna have to get some help with that, or you're gonna eventually just be single. And unfortunately, when you have been hurt, I've been hurt by love as well, you have to let your guard down when you get back out there to date. And unfortunately, if you let your guard down, you are letting your guard down for hurt or love. But you don't know which one is going to be today or 10 years from now until you let your guard down. So you gotta you gotta be able to be open to this might not work out. But also, if you let yourself be open, you could be open to the best thing of your entire life. So I really hope Millie gets help for that. Like, in my current relationship, I am the softest and most feminine that I have ever been. And I had to do the work on not only myself and how I was showing up, but also making sure that I'm being open to receive that from another person as well. Because that's two different things. You may think it comes really easy to kind of just let a man be able to do, and you just fall into your feminine energy. But when you're so used to being masculine, that's definitely an adjustment period for you as well. So I really hope Millie just, gets it together. So the guys are now gathering in the living room. Fingernail Polish Aaron is leading the conversation about essentially their living quarters. So y'all know the men and the women were separate when they first moved in because nobody really knew each other. But now that they've been there for a while, it's really no reason that we shouldn't be sleeping in the room with the person that we came here for. And after they divvy everything up, right now, Earring Aaron is the only person that isn't sleeping in the room with his partner. And from the looks of Aaron, he ain't really interested, honey. He's like, I am fine with being in the bed, farting with Chris and Sandia, just merely 5 feet away from me, okay? Aaron says he isn't sure how Jody is going to react to the bed being moved, but in my opinion, he essentially gets bullied into it from the rest of the guys. So now all the couples are going to bed together. Aaron and Jody, they are still sleeping in this room like they are at summer camp, child. But Aaron, we see he can't sleep in the middle of the night. So he gets up, he pushes his bed closer to hers. And that was a problem. So the next morning, Jody is completely pissed because of him pushing the beds together and says she felt pressured. And we found out all he did was kiss her on the forehead while she was sleeping. Jody, I understand you've been violated as well, honey, but are you ready for a relationship if you can't handle a kiss on your forehead while you're sleeping? Okay. She tells him that she has respected his boundaries and she felt like what he did was an invasion of her privacy. Again, Jody, girl, just go home. She says she wants him to remain who he is. And I was like, but what if this is who he is? What if, I don't know, child, at this point what Aaron wants, but what if this is what he wants? It's almost like what he wants does not even matter because everything has to be done on her terms. Like, her and Millie are very similar. I know it seems like their trauma has been the same for the past, but they are very similar in kind of my way or the highway. But I feel like so far from what we've seen, Millie is at least trying. Jody is like, get away from me with this. I don't want to even deal with this, Apollo. That's what she is giving us. And I don't know how you expect to get far in any relationship like that, girl. I just really don't. So Aaron says that he disappointed her the previous night and he lost her confidence and he thinks he allowed his ego to get the better of him after talking with the guys. I just said that before they said this. So she tells them that they were moving at a healthy pace for the both of them. No, that was more so just for you, Jody. Someone kissing on you or touching on you, that's fine if that is uncomfortable for you. But you really just need to then be by yourself, or you find a man that doesn't like to do all that until you get comfortable, child. Because it's not fair either way for him to make you feel like you've been disrespected or violated, but for you to also stifle where he would want to be in a relationship. Like, either way, it's not fair. So we then see Josh, Shay, Chris, and Jody. They're talking in the kitchen. Jody tells them that she was sexually abused and that, you know, she just doesn't like to get touched in her sleep. And Aaron knows that. She says she didn't like him crossing that boundary. Jody. Again, we keep hearing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And if it is such a strong issue for you, if it is such a hard boundary for you, why aren't you getting help with that? You taking your power back or doing whatever to become a sexologist obviously did not work, and you still have this trauma. And I'm not trying to tell anybody when to heal from their trauma or when to move on. But if you know that it is something you are still struggling with, it is definitely your responsibility to get the help that you need to move forward. You don't want that to stifle your relationships for the rest of your life. So you have to take control over that. And that's really nobody else's responsibility or baggage to carry but yours. So Chris tells her that it's probably the guy's fault on why Aaron did that, since, you know, they were all sleeping with their women. They were just like, you need to be with yours. But Jody keeps saying the same thing over and over again, and I kind of just checked out. As the episode wraps, we see Greg and Millie are meeting with Taronda because Millie wants to talk to Greg about some of her past trauma and the expectations with them. So they'll be meeting with a relationship expert together. The expert asks, you know, what Millie wanted to talk about, and she says that she really doesn't want her trauma to affect their relationship. The therapist asks how she processed the trauma, and she's basically says she acts out. She goes from 0 to 10 and she stays at a 10 because she feels then she has to defend herself. The expert is kind of paying attention to what little tics Millie have, and as Millie is talking, she's like really playing with her hair. And then the therapist is kind of telling Greg that you see how she's kind of has this thing that she does kind of before she maybe gets elevated. And then you can kind of look at some of the cues that she's making and then be able to kind of, I guess, jump in or support her because you kind of see it bubbling up to the top. She also says she notices how Greg kind of looked off a little bit as Millie was talking. And the therapist said, you know, sometimes that happens if something that the person is talking about then triggers you. So the therapist brought that up, and then Greg starts talking about his trauma that he hasn't told anybody about. We still don't find out. But then Millie gets upset because she's like, see how we were talking about kind of me, and then it just went over to him. Well, girl, the therapist called him out on something. So was that not his turn in place to share what is happening? I am so confused. The therapist is like, I just see 2 hurt people, and that is definitely true. And it's hard for me to think any of these people need to be in a relationship. Like, it's some real individual work that needs to go on with just about everybody that's there before they even need to entertain a relationship, because you should have 2 healthy people going into a relationship. If you don't got 2, you should just have at least 1.5, somebody that's, you know, there and somebody else that's almost there. But having 2 potentially toxic people in a relationship, oh child, it's a recipe for disaster. Okay, but we'll be back here next week, y'all. It looks like the lovebirds of Shay and Josh finally get into it and got a little disagreement. I don't know how this is the first time since he got a whole 3-year-old, but we'll see next week if it's just the previews playing with us or if they actually have some type of disagreement going on. But drop your comments out in the comment section below and let me know what you guys thought about the episode tonight, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.